My name is Lyndon Lamosse and welcome to the channel. This is part 3 out of 4 of a series on how I managed to play hockey and live in the Netherlands. If you haven't seen part 1, you can go check it out. I like the vlog style of the last one, so I'll be going with it for the rest of the series. So I just arrived in Amsterdam, and very quickly you learn that it's a really bureaucratic country. There's certain processes that have to be done exactly right in the right order, and until then your life is just sort of stuck in limbo. First thing, you have to book an appointment to collect your residence permit, and luckily I could do that in Amsterdam itself. Then also another appointment to get your biometrics done, and luckily you can go into any IND office in the country. So every day I'd be refreshing to see if appointments opened up, and I found one in Rotterdam within a few weeks. And those are just the first couple steps, there's much more left. If you've moved to another country yourself, let me know in the comments if all the formalities and processes are at all similar. With the residence permit all set up, you're now able to rent housing, and you have to remember that it has to be a place where you can register at. The Amsterdam area housing market is very sparse. Many people are trying to get somewhere to live. I started off at this hostel, the Meininger Julianaplein, and there were students living there even when the school year had already started because they were still trying to find a place. And by the way, it's actually a really good starting point I would recommend for any newcomer to the city starting from scratch. It's called a hostel, but it's more like a budget hotel with really solid rooms and a shared kitchen. Really good bang for your buck. A true hostel is even cheaper than that still, but it's not something you can properly live in for more than a week or two max, at least for me personally. The Meininger does do long-term contracts for 5 or 6 months at some parts of the year, and it's for a pretty decent price, but it wasn't available until later on. So instead I was just booking there for a few weeks at a time and hoping by the end of the booking that I'd have a proper apartment set up. I got to the end of the booking and I didn't find a place. And actually you cannot make 2 consecutive bookings back to back. So I'd actually have to pack everything and move somewhere else at least for a day. Normally I do it for 2 or 3 days and then come back later. I actually had to end up doing that twice, and thank Christ I was with Pt.3 Men's 1, so I had the privilege of leaving my equipment in the change room that we got at the club. I have no idea what I would have done otherwise. I was having a lot of trouble with it. I once missed out on an apartment in Sanford because my permit was still being processed, sketchy places that don't do registration, other places on FB Marketplace being swept up quickly, going to viewings and then just not getting picked as a candidate. And at this point, even my club is posting about me on their Instagram page to see if anyone has a spare room. Like, your boy is desperate. And you know what? Shout out to HC Harlem one more time. So many people were just looking around for potential options, and they'd come up to me and tell me if they thought they saw something, you know, in the evenings or on the weekends after training or a game. You know, people will come up and check in and ask if I had found somewhere. And then Niels Delissen, El Patron, coming in clutch. I don't have B-roll, but let me see here. Yeah, so this guy right here, former H1 player, still hung out with the team every so often in the evenings. He's a contractor in Harlem, so doing renovations around different places, and he was just looking around in his network for something for me. And finally he got me a viewing for a place right next to the train station and down the street from the Centrum or main square. And although it was basically a big closet, it was dirt cheap. So I suppose it was kind of lucky in the end that I missed out on all the other places. I as well only needed to buy a dresser, blankets, sheets, and a pillow from IKEA, and a frying pan. Other than that, I basically got everything else: bed, fridge, plates, cutlery, desk, whatever, from teammates or their friends, the coach's mom, you name it. This is going to be a really common theme you're going to see in the rest of the series. You really have to try and make connections and rely on the kindness of people you've really just met. But yeah, at that point I had somewhere to live. Once you have your permit and you get a place to live, you register yourself and your address at the municipal office, which again you have to get an appointment for. So I go to the appointment, and if you recall in the last video, I got all the stamps onto a copy of my birth certificate, not the original. So when I get there, the agent tells me he has to check in the back with his supervisor if that's all right, that it's not the original. And at this point I'm sweating because it's early October and I've been burning through savings this whole time. My life is just sort of hanging in the balance as I wait for him to return. If I have to go back and get all these stamps and everything done on the original, that's a lot of extra time and money lost. But he comes back and he says it's fine. Who knows if on a different day with a different agent or supervisor, maybe they decline it, I don't know. But whatever, it's done. And then you will get one of these in the mail with your BSN or Burger Service Number, similar to or same as SIN number in Canada or NIS number in the UK. When you have that, you can apply for a bank account, and when you do that, the bank sends you 2 separate letters in the mail, one with the card itself and one with this device you have to plug in to get everything activated when you go online. I don't even have it anymore. Like, activating the account was literally the only time I ever touched it. And this is huge because a lot of places don't take cash, and credit is also not very big in the Netherlands. Side note, my friend Mika, he runs this organization called Beyond the Backpack. Basically, they're concerned with environmental conservation. I'll give a little screen recording of his Instagram. You should check him out. He does a lot of travel for his work and recreationally as well, and he suggested for me to get this Stack reloadable credit card, and I'm not sure if they're available outside of Canada, but basically what you do is you can pay with it and it will pay the cost of the item in the local currency, and then what it does is it converts it at the MasterCard exchange rate into Canadian dollars and takes that amount from your account. So you pay for stuff without any extra exchange fees that might be included in a traditional institution. And I am not sponsored by Stack, nor am I profiting in any way from this channel at all. At the time of recording, this is a really small channel, but I just really think that it's a really good tool to use if you're going to be traveling or you're going to be out of the country a lot. In the comments, you can even let me know if there's something way better out there that I should be using. But again, using credit in the Netherlands has its limits. For example, with grocery stores, Lidl and Jumbo will take them, but Albert Heijn will not. As well, you can make payments from person to person through the Tiki app, and it was a bit embarrassing, for instance, when you go out with people and you need to split a bill, or you're contributing to the team bank account for drinks, and I couldn't do that initially because I didn't have a bank account. As well, they use Ideal, so until you have your bank account, you can't buy things like monthly subscriptions for the gym, or pay for your club membership, or really buy many things online. I remember Jeroen, our manager, had to pay my club membership for me, and then I had to transfer later to him when I was all set up. It is technically legal to be working as soon as the permit is active, but you wouldn't be able to accept an offer anyway because there's no way for you to get paid until you have a bank account. In my case, actually I was lucky because my club gave me coaching work and they let me start right away in September, and they were just willing to keep track of the hours and backdate and pay the lump sum at the following payday whenever I was all set up. So finally, after landing on July 31st, 2021, collecting my residence permit, doing my biometrics, finding a place to stay, registering at the municipal office, waiting for the letter in the mail, applying for the bank account, waiting for 2 separate letters from the bank, registering, logging in, and then finally, after that fucking crusade and burning through 3 months of savings, on October 27, 2021, I received that first paycheck into my ABN account, marking the point when all the formalities were completed and I was fully operational. Actually, after the winter break, I ended up trading in the coaching job and just sort of started working in a warehouse, just as a laborer, packing boxes, checking that all the items were correct. I know it was a big pain for the club to reassign all the hours I was working, but I just needed something full-time. And just a little FYI, if you go on working holiday program, the bike food delivery companies do their payroll through a company that does not hire people on this type of visa, so that wasn't an option for me. And that does it for part 3. Next time I'll go through day-to-day things, cost of food, housing, transportation. I'll talk about language and social life, as well as travel when you're in Europe. And lastly, renewing your residence permit to close off the series. As always, like if you liked it, share if you think somebody else might too, and subscribe so that you're in the loop for part 4. Take care.